welcome to game number 2 between MarineLorD.
Well, a black screen. Black screen. Okay, there we go.
All right. there you guys go. Now you can see who's playing. So let's do that again. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 2 between MarineLorD, who spawns on the south side of the map. He's going to be playing the Rus here today. His opponent, Lidakor. Who is it? Who could it possibly be?
Well, it's still Beastyqt, and don't get deceived by the score at the top. It's right now a 1-0 lead in the favor of Beastyqt. He managed to take down MarineLorD in the first game. That was an absolutely crazy game out there, and now we're entering game number 2. So, Abbasids versus Rus, we talked about this one in the current meta, seems like a massive civilization advantage for our Rus player.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy how this has popped up overnight. So, yeah, before, I would say maybe a week ago, nobody knew about this counter pick at all, but it's really started to develop very strongly. But interestingly, it's listed that Beastyqt's got 3 scouts out. I don't know if that is correct, but if that is the case, actually, I don't think that is. We'll get that. Don't worry, Overlay Guy is going to switch that around. We'll get those values switched over for you, because you can see that Beastyqt has opened up with 2 scouts over here. So the scouts are always indicative of your strength in the early game. The more scouts that you've got, the higher chance you're going to be denying the Gaia from your enemy.
Look at those hunts, they spawn right next to each other, making it much easier for Beasty to find some, and now the scout dance begins. Looks like MarineLorD was a little slow noticing those deer. In fact, he didn't even care about the deer at the beginning, he just goes for the wolf, because he knows that 1v1 in this scout war against those huntables, it's not something that he can win easily and fast, so for him, it's easier to just aggro the boar, or the wolf, and that's going to guarantee him 25 bounty over time.
Yeah, super smart move, and now also picking up a couple more sheep over here for Beastyqt. Now, one of the things that we were talking about before this, Lidakor, is just how it comes to how does the Abbasid player go about actually countering this playstyle that we're expecting to see out of MarineLorD. Now, what we are expecting to see out of MarineLorD is very simple. He is going to be getting a wheelbarrow in the first stage, and we can already see it coming through now. He is going to be looking to move out towards that boar. You can see the boar on the minimap in the northern position. He's probably going to be looking to take that. And then he's going to be researching double broadaxe at his base for his wood. And he's also going to be researching survival techniques, which is going to be bumping up that food economy. Now, that one, I'm not sure if we'll see. Survival techniques seems to be a bit iffy. We don't always see people going for it. But the question is, as an Abbasid player who wants to go for multiple town centers, how do you beat this civilization that's got so much going for it with the early game economy?
I wish I had an answer to this, because you get the feel that the Abbasids just don't have the great tools to prevent that boar from being captured by the Rus player, and that boar is not only giving you 2,000 food that you can gather at a spectacular rate, as you pointed out with survival techniques and wheelbarrow, but it's also something that's going to give 75 bounty as well for MarineLorD, so that boar is immensely valuable for the Rus player, and the Abbasids don't seem to have any tools that are capable of stopping the opponent from even getting to that boar. And of course, the scout numbers advantage is something that MarineLorD can build on, trying to harass that gold mine as much as possible. Obviously, the goal here for Beasty collecting that gold is that he wants to get fresh foodstuffs and likely the wheelbarrow upgrade as well. So MarineLorD being able to harass that, he can potentially force either of those economy upgrades to be delayed.
Yeah, that's exactly it. A little bit of sheep murder coming in right there. And we can see that the wheelbarrow not yet researched for Beastyqt, so he might have to be given up on that one, and definitely a little victory there for MarineLorD. The fact that he's able to delay that wheelbarrow from coming in, it's sort of going to force the hand of Beastyqt at this point in time, so saving up all that gold for his fresh foodstuffs, rather, not fresh rude stuffs. But have we got villagers yet moving out towards that ball? We'll take a look at the base of MarineLorD. You can see he's aging up himself, but undoubtedly going to be moving towards that position shortly.
Indeed, Golden Gate right now coming up for him, and the economy wing is just now finishing for Beasty. So far standard openings, and I wonder if those villagers are marching towards a boar, and I think I've already gotten my answer to it. Looks like it's going to be the northern boar, which is the choice for MarineLorD, and the convenient thing with that is that there is a gold mine right next to it, so not only are you getting a boar, in the future you can also use those villagers to mine gold there.
The big thing for me is take a look how close that boar is to the hunts of his enemy. So typically, a boar would give you an extra 2,000 food, but in this case, it's going to give you an extra 2,000 food, and if you can secure up this position, an extra 2350 times 2. This is 4,700 food, but already we see something interesting. We see not only is MarineLorD going for this boar, but there is a spearman coming out towards this position, and that means absolute business because the scout is out. It's going to be looking to do a little bit of harassment, but you can see now already the wooden fortress is going to get thrown down on this position. Spearman not going to be working today, it seems.
And look at MarineLorD, he pulled away the weak villager. There was a villager that was very low HP from that boar. He pulled that to the south off screen, so it's not something that can be targeted by that spearman that's coming in. And that's the thing. If you had a civilization that can just churn out some military a little faster or get the fuel age a little faster, you could reach this point with the spearman in time, but that's not possible with the Abbasids, and that's the reason why it's so difficult to punish this build that's coming out from the roofs, because that tower is almost guaranteed to go up, and great move from MarineLorD to save that weak villager.
Yep, and now that that outpost has gone up, that's GG. Like, let's good game go next. The spears failed. I mean, that's what they were designed to do. The spears were designed to get here before the villagers got that wooden fortress down. They got the wooden fortress down. That's it. In my opinion, the way I'm looking at it, it's a good game. But now we see a little bit of an interesting development. Beastyqt says, well, not so fast there, Drongo. I am researching my wheelbarrow. I'm also got my fresh food stuff, so now I'm going to be going for an outpost.
And that outpost might be able to reach the villagers, and if that goes up, it's going to be very difficult for MarineLorD, if not impossible, to access that boar, and that could be the perfect response here by Beasty. I wonder if MarineLorD sees that, because so far no reaction. It's not like he can really fight it off, but that tower could be the perfect move by Beasty, and we talked about this at the beginning of the game. I didn't have any ideas how to stop this. Well, there is a reason why Beasty's a better player than myself, I guess.
Wait a minute right there, Lidakor. It looks like Beastyqt has developed some interesting insight to the situation. He has found a counter to the boar strategy, and it is a single outpost with some spearmen inside.
And that is so well executed, and that's what the spearmen were supposed to do. They weren't there to stop the tower. Initially, it seemed like he's just rushing out to the spears trying to stop the tower, but no. They were there to make sure that his own tower goes up, and now MarineLorD is gonna have to head back towards those deer carcasses, which is still a decent source of food income for him, but not what he was looking for.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. Look at this. We have the arrow slits coming in, and also he's fortifying the outpost. He means business with this position, and I gotta say, I'm impressed from this. I mean, realistically, this is kind of wild. I'm so excited to see this Beastyqt single-handedly coming in, disrupting the Rus meta with a single outpost.
And look at the location.
It's just very.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
It's just so beautiful. It's just really beautiful. That's all.
Yeah, look at the location of those archer ranges as well for MarineLorD. They're all the way at the back, because one of the components of this strategy for the Rus is that you have that forward position with the boar, and you use that location as your staging ground to assemble your archer army. So by pushing MarineLorD back, Beasty was also able to prevent those archer ranges to come up closer to his base, and this is buying him one thing: time, and that's exactly what the Abbasids need in this scenario.
Yeah, now you can see that Beastyqt's actually got a fair bit of stone that he's gathered up. He's gathered 98 stone, but he did stop. So he was quite intent on going for that second town center, but something has spooked him. And so whether that has just been the variation that's come out from MarineLorD here, but we can see that double broadaxe is now coming through for MarineLorD. So he is looking to invest a little bit more in his economy. He's got to be careful here in this position, Beastyqt. You can see the villagers having to fall back away from that wooden fortress, that wooden mining camp, that wooden, what's it called?
Lumber camp? How about that?
Lumber camp. Yeah, lumber camp works perfectly, Lidakor. Now, I'd love to know, do we have survival techniques yet coming through for MarineLorD? Oh, take a look at that beautiful wall coming through for Beastyqt. Such great timing on that one.
I mean, he's probably relieved that he can finally make walls. He just played a super long Mongol game where he couldn't make walls, and he's like, okay, I need to make walls. Finally, I have a civilization that can do that.
And now he's very happy because he's making walls, and he's making walls absolutely everywhere. Look at on the top of the hill right here. There's got to be no way through. So survival techniques is yet to come through for MarineLorD. So I have watched multiple games from MarineLorD. Somewhere he did go for survival techniques, somewhere he didn't go for survival techniques. So I wonder what the reasoning is behind leaving it sometimes and getting it some other times. But at the same time, we do now see +1 ranged attack coming through for MarineLorD. So I would expect that we'd have siege engineering coming through as well, and he'll look to clear that boar positioning. But really going to be able to utilize that double broadaxe together with the bonus that comes out from the wooden fortress.
And it looks like the walls are being broken through. You get 6 scouts out there for MarineLorD that act as great torch units, and suddenly those archers can loop around. I wonder if we have a second wood line established here for Beasty, because he seems to struggle a tiny bit to access wood, and that could be a concern. And if you look at the berry positioning, that's also not spectacular. So still, there's a bit of a problem here for Beasty, because that army is growing for MarineLorD, and while Beasty was able to buy himself some time, he's once again being surrounded, and essentially the same thing is happening that we expected.
Yeah, we're starting to see that Rus stranglehold begin. So even though MarineLorD lost the boar, and, you know, people called good games. Some people, I'm not going to say names, some people called good game as soon as that outpost came out.
I know one.
I don't know what you're talking about. I can't possibly think of it. But then we saw the counter outpost come up, and all of a sudden, you know, chat was going crazy. They're like, oh, now it's good game for the Abbasid player, but they didn't realize that the good game was happening all along, and that was the friends that we made along the way. And also the fact that MarineLorD is still going ham.
Indeed, and you see Beasty is struggling to access wood here. That's going to be quite a lot of villager casualties, actually. MarineLorD opens fire, only gets one kill, though. He has gotten the attack upgrade. That's not something that Beasty has, and now he's going for the defense upgrade. So he's ready to commit against this one, and as you pointed out, once he has siege engineering, he can clean that tower up. And, well, he already has siege engineering. I wonder if that tower was actually cleaned, because if it was cleaned, suddenly he's got access to the boar, and we're basically back where we came from, and potentially an even stronger position.
Oh, we got a counterattack potentially coming down here as well, just down to the south on the deer hunt. We'll take a look. Oh, no. Yeah, there we go. Spearman attack. Look at that. When was the last time you saw a spearman raid, Lidakor?
Well, not today, that's for sure. And while it looked scary on the minimap, you just look at that big ball of redness coming through the map. It's like, okay, it's 6 spearmen, thank you so much. It's gonna get cleaned up by the archers. And now the barracks is under attack here. Beasty's in a troublesome spot because he's sort of being cornered. He's behind by 4 villagers as well, and his berries have been cut off. If you look at that berry spot, that's empty, and his backup berries are to the north. So that's not something that he has access to either.
Yeah, he's not in a very good position here. He's got more berries down towards the south, but they're quite far away. And you can see he's got a red unit down there. I don't know exactly what his intention is with that, whether he's looking to potentially wall it up. Actually, I think there might be a blue unit down there as well, just to the opening. Yeah, he's got a scout-on-scout action. So could potentially look to wall that one off. But he is moving down in that direction. So maybe he decides that's where he's going to be investing his time and his resources.
Looks like there is going to be a stable switch, but this is going to be slowed down massively because one thing that we're seeing is that MarineLorD is destroying houses. And if you look at Beasty's population right now is 70 out of 60, and that's going to slow down that cavalry switch quite substantially. Now we got a villager dancing coming in here trying to get some damage done on those rams. I don't think that MarineLorD has seen the stables though, and once again, Beasty could be looking to take one decisive fight. MarineLorD has a huge mass of archers, but if the critical mass is achieved here by Beasty with the horsemen, he could take a great fight and then just start snowballing the game. He also launched a counterattack with those archers to the right side. It looks like they actually came back to the base to defend.
Yeah, he's got to be so careful here with his horsemen. He has exposed them. He said, yes, we are making horsemen. But the issue is that, as you mentioned, if the critical mass gets reached with those horsemen, then he's going to be absolutely able to clean up this force. But by showing his hand here and saying, hey, I'm making horsemen, we're going to start to see spears coming out from his opponent. And already, look at that. Such a reactive timing coming through from MarineLorD. He immediately spots. We see that the double barracks is already down, though. So he's going to be making more spears. He's going to be bringing them across the map. But yeah, now displaying his hand, MarineLorD knows exactly what is up and is going to be looking to focus on producing those spearmen.
And this is exactly what the Rus do best. Food and wood gathering. You got the bounty that's boosting your food eco, you got the towers that's boosting your wood income, and you can just turn that into a big ball of archers and spearmen. If Beasty could find a way to Castle Age, he could counter this with men-at-arms or mangonels, but right now Castle Age is just a distant dream, and that means that he's gonna have to take this fight over here, pose the villagers to take down those rams with, and it looks like we have a big decisive battle coming in.
Yeah, you can see the way the horsemen are trying their best to get a good concave in. Unfortunately, not finding too much of a connection there. Scout's going to be moving forward, and Beastyqt actually not looking terrible at this point in time. Villagers continuing to siege down those battering rams, making their way downwards towards that southern position. Want to reduce the amount of surface area that are coming in from those horsemen, but the +1 armor going to be doing work in this position. You can see it's taking about 3 or 4 volleys to actually take down these horsemen, and it looks like Beastyqt is going to be able to hold. The villager count is still looking relatively good at this point in time for MarineLorD, but Beastyqt behind this is going to be able to drop down a second town center if he so pleases, and will look to eventually catch up.
something is wrong here. Look at the military population of MarineLorD. That's not all the army that he has. Still at 46, and that's the scary thing for Beasty. He has sacrificed so much for this push. He lost so many villagers. He's down by what seems to be 12 right now, and it's not like he managed to finish off MarineLorD's army. In fact, he's very far from it. Still 45 military population for MarineLorD, 47 for Beasty. Beasty made a hold, but I don't think that he has taken a good enough fight to compensate for that villager deficit.
And this is the consequence of this Rus build order. This is something that we talked about in the early game. We are seeing it right now. The production that is coming out from this build is absolutely wild. So even though we see MarineLorD just losing armies, he's just able to continue reinforcing from this position. We take a look. I want to see how many production buildings he's actually got at this point in time, because I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the double digits at this point.
Maybe. Now, one of the concerns he has is that he's losing a lot of reinforcements over here, spearmen being picked off, and while Beasty definitely has the weaker eco, the archer numbers are looking better and better, and one thing that Beasty was able to obtain with this counterattack is safety to his berries. So suddenly he's back on berries, and I wonder if MarineLorD is starting to run low on accessible food, because he only has 500 food per minute. I don't think that he cleaned up the tower on that boar yet. And I'm assuming that those deer carcasses are getting depleted, so maybe access to food is a bit of a problem, but the bigger problem is that the horsemen are being used to great effect. Spearmen just get picked off so fast that the horsemen are able to tank up a lot of arrow fire, and this is retaliation time here coming in for Beasty.
Oh my god, what is happening? Is MarineLorD actually falling apart? He's evacuating the wood line right now. You can see the horsemen coming in here and doing so much work. He manages to pull these villagers back. Going to be taking a lot of idle time, but a little bit of a raid coming through. It's the second spearman raid of the game, of the day, that we are seeing, of the week, of the year probably. Why are these players who are currently sitting at like rank 1 and 2 on the ladder raiding with spearmen? What is going on?
Oh, you can't really use them elsewhere, might as well go for that raid. The villagers just push them away. That's the reason why you don't see very common spearman raids, because the villagers will just say, okay, we're here in numbers, so you're not gonna harass us, that's for sure. And look at that, once again, reinforcements being intercepted here, and I think that MarineLorD has shown his hand with those knights. Beasty possibly saw them, but if you have a critical mass of knights achieved here, this is something that still MarineLorD could easily win. Looks like he's sending those knights to the right side, and that could be devastating. That's like 20 villagers on the right side on those berries.
Yeah, hopefully we see... Are we seeing any outposts coming up from Beastyqt? He should know that something is going to be coming up.
Oh, no.
And no, we don't see anything. This could be a game-ending raid come through. He's already down 11 villagers. If he loses more than another 10 villagers, 15 villagers here, he's going to be in absolute shambles, and you can see he's going to be falling back towards the base. More spearmen raids up towards the wood line, and now the villagers are going to be running their way out. They've got their wheelbarrow upgrade, so they're going to be running a little bit faster because they've got wheels on their shoes, but unfortunately still going to be losing their lives, it seems.
Casualties left and right, and this is something that Beasty can't really afford. He still has that good army, but slowly but surely he's being ground down by the Rus player. There is the counterattack with his own horsemen, though. He might be able to find a couple of hunters, but he needs to cut into this villager deficit, and that's the other power of the Rus here. Those wooden fortresses house 8 villagers as compared to standard houses housing or defending just 5 villagers inside. So you can fit pretty much all your hunters into that tower, and it's going to make it very difficult for Beasty to cut into that villager deficit that currently is there.
And we can see this outpost is still steadily working on. Does he have units inside that outpost? Back towards the just to the north there. He's got 4 spears just hanging out inside of that outpost for the last, the last 15 minutes, the last 14, 13 minutes. Finally sieges it down now and looks to secure up this position. And we have got ourselves an Age 3 coming through. Just when I thought, the game was over Red Rover, it seems like Beastyqt manages to find a way through this. If he makes it up to castle, that means he gets a mangonel out. Once he's got a mangonel out, well then, my friend, you've got a problem, Mr. MarineLorD.
Indeed, and he's got a substantial army of archers also available, so not only is he getting the mangonel out, not only is he possibly getting some lancers out, some men-at-arms out, he's also getting the veterancy upgrade, so that existing army of archers he currently has is also going to be something that's going to become much stronger.
One thing that I'm finding curious, or I'm just thinking about right now, is that despite MarineLorD having a larger army for the majority of the game, he never actually cleared that outpost. And now we see a raid going down on the deer over on the left-hand side of the map. You can see it happening right now. Left-hand side, there it is. There it is. So a raid coming down on this deer. But it's not the only spot that he's out on the map. Also down towards the south side of the map, he's on berries, where he's put up another wooden fortress. But the thing that I'm thinking is like, well, he could have just turned around with his battering ram and just taken out that outpost, brought back a couple of archers with him, and he'd be on the boar. He'd be a happy camper. He could then use that to propel himself forward onto the deer hunts that were there, but he's not going to be doing that. Very curious decision-making coming out from MarineLorD here.
Indeed, it would have really have been a massive investment for him to clean up that tower, and he's being punished for that quite heavily because, as you pointed out, so much hunt is available here, and it's never a good sign to see the Rus player going for the berries, and now it's castle age time for Beasty. Now, MarineLorD is not far away, and I'm fairly certain that he's going to rush up his landmark with like 25 villagers so that he can catch up. But this is a window for Beasty, a window that wasn't really open like 2 minutes ago, so this is the time for him to strike, and the Abbasids are great at doing that because building siege weapons on the battlefield immediately, that's going to allow them to snowball things really fast.
Yeah, he's starting to look very good. This is quite concerning because obviously he's still down on economic or on village account. But it's not substantial. And the thing is, even though he's down on that village account, it's not like the lead is growing. It's stayed relatively similar. We can see 13 villages have gone down, or there's a difference of 13 villages between the two in this situation at the moment. And that's not, you know, that's not impossible to come back from. And we did see him moving over to stone as well. So he obviously gathered up 98 stone in the early game and then just went off it completely. He's now dropped down. Oh, look at the villagers on his stone. He's pulled in so much stone in the last 2 seconds. Oh, my lord. He's going for a second TC for sure.
Is it a second TC or a castle? In this scenario, having the momentum he has, you might think about a castle forward. MarineLorD is up to castle age right now. There is apparently one mangonel on the battlefield for Beasty. He also had the camel archer, so he's gonna debuff the enemy cavalry. And now we see some lancers hit the field as well. And just a couple of minutes ago, we had Beasty's food eco being exposed on the right side. Now it's MarineLorD's one. And once again, those proxy bases on the berry patches are raidable for MarineLorD, or for Beasty.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Veteran Archer's now coming through for Beastyqt. He's got a bit of an advantage here. Doesn't yet have his +2 range attack, but we can see it is coming in for his enemy MarineLorD now. But going to be pushing towards this one. Why not? Oh, my lord! All of the villagers going down right there. That was more than the spearmen have done all game, it seems.
Oh, the second volley.
And in the blink of an eye, the villager count is all of a sudden even up. MarineLorD on 57, Beastyqt on 55.
And the thing is that there is no answer here for MarineLorD right now against those siege weapons. It's just a massive group of archers, 60 archers, 3 knights, and 1 warrior monk. What do you do against all those mangonels? And those mangonels could be replaced by Beasty very easily here. Now Beasty's down to 0 food per minute, so he's gonna have some things to address back at home as well. But with that tower being burned down, another couple of villagers will get picked up. And Beasty just cut into that villager deficit. Is that 2 more TCs?
Speaking of back at home, it's 2 more TCs going down for Mr. Cutie right now. He is looking incredible. How does he do this stuff? He is a magician when it comes to pulling rabbits out of these hats. I just got no idea how he does it. He's going to be focusing all of his intentions, or all of his resources rather, on that economy, trying to get that up. But keep in mind, he's only paying 25 food a villager. He barely has to blink and that thing comes out.
Indeed, and he's got that presence to pressure MarineLorD, and MarineLorD's still unable to access those boards. Now, MarineLorD himself is adding some town centers here, so he probably is suspecting that Beasty already has some extra town centers up. The concern that he's facing is that now Beasty has the map control, and the deeper we go in this game, you get the feel that that's more and more Beasty territory. That slow onion warfare, layer after layer of walls, and we could see potentially a 40-50 minute long game here.
Yeah, well, that's just it. But look, the one thing that I'm drawn back to is the fact that when it comes to the late game, I still feel like Rus are the kings of the late game. So even though, you know, we saw them come out as a civilization that's quite strong in the early game in the last week, don't forget, they are still, in my opinions, the king of the late game.
That is true, and the Abbasids don't really have a spectacular unit composition to beat the Rus late game, so there is indeed a sense of urgency here for Beasty, because you don't really want to fight against Rus with their long-range springboards and whatnot. And it looks like Beasty is still very heavy on the stone. I think he wants a castle now. He's got 3 town centers. He's still mining stone like a madman. This is the time where you start dropping those keeps, which is also something that's going to allow him to heal his army, something that the Abbasids can do with their own keeps, and that's going to make them even stronger as defensive positions.
Yeah, now we see Mr. Beastyqt adding up a Mr. Castle over on that right-hand side of the map. More of the units coming out. Mr. MarineLorD's got it. I'm trolling at this point. Someone in chat asked me to stop saying Mr., so I'm just going to start saying it. I can't wait till Mr. plays against his brother, the Mr., and it's casted by Mr. Mr., the pop group from the 70s. They wrote a lot of good songs, but Wallow in the middle of the map now. It looks like it's unsuccessful. Lance is going to be heading back towards that position and try and take it out. Drops the relic and says, you know what? You keep the relic. I'll just keep my boy alive.
I'm out of here. It's like, it's not worth that much. I'll just run away. And it looks like MarineLorD is moving to the right side. I wonder if that's for the boar, actually. There's a second boar on the far right side of the screen, and that would be a great source of food. And that's probably where MarineLorD is heading with all those villagers out there. And he kind of needs that, because he's running low on food. The berries are depleting, he doesn't want to transition to farms just yet, and that boar could be a great source of food. What is happening?
What is going on right here? MarineLorD moving forward with only 300 stone. MarineLorD probably not getting the memo about... Keeps actually cost 800 stone.
He just bought it. He just bought it.
Okay, never mind. MarineLorD decides to just use his mathematical genius right there and gives himself a little bit of extra stone.
Yeah, he just bought a ton of stone here. I think he bumped into those palisade walls. He wanted to drop an even more aggressive castle, but then he just wasn't able to get there. He's going to drop it in the middle of the map. Some night raids coming in. MarineLorD still has some relics under his control. Beasty's also picking up some with his own imams, and it's going to be a nice fourth position by MarineLorD. Suddenly, Beasty is the one that's losing map control quite rapidly because the night numbers are slowly increasing for MarineLorD, and Beasty's army is mostly just archers.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Now we see a second town center going to be coming down here for MarineLorD, so trying to keep up with his enemy, but keep in mind Beastyqt has managed to find a window. Actually, that's a third town center. I take that back. Beastyqt has climbed through that window once again. He's up by about 20 villages at this point. He's going to be working his way towards that ideal 130. I'd say 130 villages is ideal, but that's what he's going to be working towards and then looking to find that timing for his opponent. Trebuchet's also coming out now for Beastyqt as well. So looking to get into that late stage of the game. Now, keep in mind, he's actually kind of... The way that he's macroing at the moment is looking like he might be thinking about an Imperial Age. A lot of archers coming out in this position as well from MarineLorD, and that is just... When you've got archers like this, I feel like you're asking for a mangonel. Like, at this point, you're just begging for a mangonel shot. Yeah,
but... He's begging for those mangonels to show themselves because he's got 3 springolds hiding in that stealth forest, and you get the feel that he wants to bait Beasty out of his base here. As you pointed out, Beasty's probably thinking about Imperial Age here, but he thinks twice upon seeing all that army coming towards him, and that many archers, they can just run under town centers, they won't care. Many of them will die, but they will just commit under town centers and kill villagers. So that's the critical mass of archers that will just completely ignore any kind of incoming fire, and will just go in and for the kill.
Yeah, that's a really good point. MarineLorD now going to be setting up on top of that hill. You can see his population difference is a little bit lower than his opponent, but it's mainly down to that villager count. He's got a larger military. Now we see a siege workshop coming down in on the front line. The question is, who goes to Imperial first at this point? Because it definitely seems like players are gearing up for the late game. We've got keeps beginning to be dropped all over the map, walls going up in many a position, and yeah, for me the question is, who gets to Imperial first? Who looks to get those important Imperial upgrades, and who looks to get, most importantly, roller shutter triggers first?
Resources look pretty good for Beasty, but he started investing into army again, so I would think that MarineLorD could be a little closer, especially because he's got the Golden Gate out there for him, so he can easily balance out his economy. The concerning thing for him is that he's running low on food. As you could see for a brief moment, he was dropping farms, so he's just now entering the transitional period for the farms. Looks like one of the trebuchets gets picked off by the Springolds. Second one, oh, I think it got away, right?
I'm not too sure, but we do see that the sacred sites have been taken down, or rather have been taken out. So MarineLorD securing that one up. He's got 4 of the 5 relics at this point in time. He's also got 3 of the sacred sites. So he's got a lot of passive gold coming into him as well. 700 passive gold compared to the 100 passive gold that's going to be coming in from Beastyqt. So that's going to be making up the difference between the village accounts between these two guys, and going to be giving him a great advantage in the late game. So at the moment, I'm giving over 8 points to MarineLorD. I'll give 6 over to Beastyqt. My main concern at this point is that Beastyqt is going to hit Imperial, and he's going to do a beautiful timing window. He's going to look to research things like elite men-at-arms, and will just completely take control of the map, because we don't have any walls up at this point from MarineLorD, and it's a massive mistake. MarineLorD needs to be walling up, because when it comes to the late game, Beastyqt loves to just run units everywhere. 2 men-at-arms here, 2 men-at-arms there, 2 men-at-arms everywhere, and as a result, it means that you're going to be losing villages left, right, center. And so it's just incredibly important that you try and get those proactive walls up.
Indeed. As now I get the Springolds crawling up. That's going to be a trebuchet that's constantly being repaired though. So it is the Springolds that do get punished for that commitment. The tower is gonna go down. And it looks like, as you pointed out, Beasty is heading towards Imperial. For a brief moment you had 3 sacred sites for MarineLorD. So he's trying to force his opponent out of his base. But the concern that MarineLorD is having right now is that he is nowhere close to Imperial. He's trying to break into the opponent's base right now. Both sides losing some trebuchets, or well, losing some trebuchets to the Springald fire. And losing some Springolds to the castle fire out here. MarineLorD is still trying to make a move into the opponent's base, but Beasty is buffering up those attacks so well.
Yeah, he's doing such a great job with it, and now pushing into the enemy's base, causing more havoc. Idle villagers sitting out there. We've got 12 idols for him at the moment. Now a little bit of a battle beginning to unfold before Imperial Age comes through. You can see Beastyqt actually sitting with a huge amount of resources. I think he might have cancelled that Imperial Age. Cognizant of, yeah, look at those mangonels, the way that they're moving up. Yes, he's very, very careful about positioning there, but doing a great job. Ideally, those mangonels should have been sitting up along that wood line, or along that wall, and would have enabled him to sort of almost have a bit of a flanking position. But yeah, I want to just point out the repair difference that we saw a bit earlier on that trebuchet. That was just remarkable. The way that Beastyqt intentionally left his trebuchet to be low health and then pull the villagers to heal it up to bait in those Springolds and get them to stay there a bit longer. And it meant that the keep was able to take out those extra Springolds. It was such a beautiful little sequence.
Indeed, it was a great move. To a certain extent, he was building up on a possible greed, trying to snipe that trebuchet. Speaking of sniping, there come the Springolds, and this is a great angle to open fire from MarineLorD. Takes down one mangonel. Mangonels do get some shots out, but it looks like the second one also goes down. Third one gets taken down, and this is the fight that MarineLorD was looking for. He's pushing back the forces of Beasty inside his base, who is very low on gold, still not going into Imperial.
Yeah, Beasty's still yet to click up a very interesting point. So he did actually get up, but then I think he cancelled it because he realized he needed units. But now going to be losing out a couple of villagers here on the front line. Springald's going to be teeing off towards them as well. And Beasty going to be in a bit of trouble. Now, keep in mind, he's got access to the Culverin if he does make it up to the Imperial Age, but he's starting to fall down when it comes to, or starting to lose a fair bit of population. He's sitting on 171 of 200 at the moment, but yeah, ideally should be sitting on 200. Should be maxed out at this point.
And looking at MarineLorD, he is floating a ton of resources. So, especially the food is the problem for him. But if he balanced out the eco, he could be heading towards Imperial himself. He's got some trebuchets set up. And as you pointed out before, Imperial Age is a battleground for the Rus. A couple of archers moving in from the left side. And it seems like Beasty isn't operating with a ton of walls either. And this is something that MarineLorD seems to be able to punish.
Yeah, look, I'll be honest with you. The redemption finals of a $125,000 tournament, $125,000 tournament, is probably not the place to be doing the no wall challenge. I feel like MarineLorD should probably look to add in a few walls of his own. He's been getting hit on multiple fronts here, but now a keep going to be going up on that sacred side as well. No walls to defend it there. And for a guy like MarineLorD, who's got an APM of 17,000, and that's just on a Tuesday, and like we're playing on the weekend here, so he is going absolutely ham, you'd think that it'd be pretty easy for him to do.
Possibly. We got Imperial Age coming in for Beasty. On the other side, Imperial Age is also on the way for MarineLorD in just a matter of seconds. But now is a push coming in on the left side, and we are seeing Beasty slowly starting to use up that stone that he accumulated over these minutes, and he's going to start dropping those key defensive castles. I think he's just now starting to transition his playstyle into that late game scenario, where he starts adding those walls, starts adding those defensive keeps. MarineLorD has been poking and probing, might actually be able to get that trebuchet killed, very similar scenario to the one before, but this time around, he gets the kill on that trap. But look at that, that's the counterattack that Beasty was waiting for, wide open food eco.
Yeah, this is exactly it. So we've got one player, MarineLorD, is just pushing right down the center towards Beasty's base, whereas Beastyqt is just taking the edges of the map. We see him taking the sacred site over towards the east side. He puts down the keep on top of it as well. On the west side, he puts a keep down on the gold mine and the sacred sites that's over there as well. So he's looking very, very strong in this position. My main concern is obviously MarineLorD going up to Imperial Age right now. He's going to have access to a whole bunch of new technologies. Things like roller shutter triggers, as well as the increased range that comes through from the unique landmark that is available to the Rus. We'll take a look, and there it is. That is the high armory, and we do indeed see I think it's banded arms coming through for our Springald upgrade. So 13.5 range in total for them.
Indeed, and that's where the Abyssids will start to struggle. You see, the military wing is just now finishing for Beastie, so he still has a bit of a window, but he won't really be able to win straight-up fights anymore. So it's gonna be more about that raiding, and he's doing a great job with that. Camel Archers raiding on the south, and he's pressuring the food eco of MarineLorD. That's probably the most vulnerable part of MarineLorD's eco. What is he doing with those crossbows, though, running into their death? Archers just massacring everybody there.
Yeah, this is an old school move, something he learned back in high school. This is the old run-by technique. So he's actually just drawing... I don't know what he's doing. The way I'm thinking about it is he's just sent those units there. He's probably forgotten about it. You can see there's so much action happening all over this map right now. But one of the things he does is he just sort of keeps the units in the enemy base at the moment and buys himself some time. When it comes to his economy, realistically, economies are very even at this point in time. You can see when it comes to the resources a minute, we've got about 4,000 coming in for Beastyqt. When we look at the other side, it's about 3,500 for MarineLorD, maybe even a little bit more, maybe 3,800 for him. So still very, very even with regard to the economies and the amount of resources these guys are pulling in.
And look at the unit queue on the right side for Beastie. He's queuing up Camel Archers. Could we see a full switch into Camel Archers? Because it seems like he stopped making Archers. He's adding some Culverins, adding some Mangonels here. But it seems like he's building up a substantial amount of Camel Archers on the battlefield. Currently 8, a couple of men-at-arms, some crossbows and spears are out there as well. But it seems like he wants to use those Camel Archers as a raiding force left and right.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It's a pretty smart move. These units, once they reach the late game, in my opinion, they're incredible. They're great at raiding. You just send, as we see, they're moving down, and I think he's got the speed upgrade on these bad boys. If we click on them, you'll be able to see they should be running a little bit faster than what the standard speed is. So a normal speed, I think, is 1.64 for the Camel Archers, but these guys, with their upgrades, no, he's still running 1.62, so still yet to get the speed upgrade for these Camel Archers. But once he's got it, he's going to be running out everywhere. And look at these raids coming through now. So much damage on these villagers.
And once again, the mobility component is starting to swing in the favor of Beastyqt, very similar to the previous game. One player with the mobility advantage just keep raiding and raiding and raiding, and just apply that attrition over time. And now the trebuchets are exposed to the springboard fire, villagers being pulled to repair, one goes down. The second one should be able to get away. It gets away.
You can see the Springlords, the way that they do it, you never really know if they're going to fire or not. They just kind of sit there and they're like, I'm looking at you, I'm looking at you, I'm looking at you, and it never fires, and you're like, okay, it wasn't close enough. But yeah, you can always, the Mangonels are infamous for doing it as well. They will buffer their shots, and when the units are moving away, and they will like predict, and they'll calculate, and you know, the 7 plus the 1 times 2 squared to the power of 6, and then they fling the 3 boulders like 14 kilometers away, and they manage to kill all of the units. That's a true story.
Beastie currently at 69 military population, very nice, but not as good as MarineLord's 90, and MarineLorD has had a better military population for a long time. Also flaming arrows coming in for those Rus archers. Looks like MarineLorD is going to remain with that archer composition for a while, still at 50 archers, whereas on the other side we do see a switch. Looks like Camel Archers still being added, but we're also seeing some hand cannoneers hit the field.
Yeah, so it's starting to look better for MarineLorD. He's starting to even up the playing fields. He is finally walling as well. It's great to see walls coming out for him. It's going to stop a lot of these raids coming through, especially with the Camel Archers, as we mentioned before. They're quite potent, very capable of getting behind enemy lines. But it's important that he makes sure he is completely walled in, because if there is a way to get into that base, Beastyqt will be the one that finds it.
The castle can reach those villagers, so that stone mine gets denied, and now we're seeing the villagers chopping down straggler trees, so both players having a bit of an issue with their economy here. And in the middle, Camel Archers, hand cannoneers now moving up. MarineLorD is the one going for a lot of walls. Now look at the southern part of the map. It's just layer after layer. It's basically MarineLorD playing the Beastyqt style here.
Well, you could see that MarineLorD was very intentionally playing the no-wall challenge. He hasn't walled until the 35th minute. And then as soon as it reaches like 35 minutes in, he's like, okay, well, I can't do the no-wall challenge here anymore. Otherwise, I'm probably going to lose. So I might as well start walling. And he actually just walls everything. He walls all of the things.
Oh, and he towers some stuff as well. Looks like he's creeping up with towers. So it really, MarineLorD is basically taking one strategy out of the book of strategies that usually belongs to Beastie, because everything that MarineLorD does, very methodical, very slow and steady approach. This is exactly how Beastie plays games usually. Beastie's got something building up on the far left. I wonder what exactly that is, and it's just a very disappointing group of villagers. Where is his army at?
Well, the one thing I just want to point out, as you mentioned, that this is where Beastie loves to be. He loves to be in the late game. But it's important to remember that MarineLorD, obviously a very competent player himself, but as I talked about earlier, the Rus are a civilization. I mean, if you'd want to be one of these civs, would you rather be in the late game the Rus or the Abbasid dynasty? I suspect most people would say they'd rather be the Rus. I don't know about you, Lidakor, but from my perspective, I feel like you've got Beastyqt, who is the king of the late game, on a lesser civ. Still, the Abbasid are an incredible late game civilization, but MarineLorD, who is somewhat playing from the pocket, not as technical when it comes to the late game, but playing on the best late game civ. So this is where it starts to get interesting.
Indeed, so Beasty is on a timer here because of this. He can't really afford the Rus to get all those late upgrades out here, but he's got a fairly potent push coming in here. 3 bombards supported by quite a lot of camel archers, Springles trading off shots in the middle of the map. Once again, MarineLorD is just crawling up nice and steady, but those camel archers are increasing in numbers, and once you have like 20 of them, boy oh boy are they hard to kill.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Once you get all the upgrades as well, because you've got Incendiary Arrow, you obviously get the +3, you get the Camel Speed coming in. I don't know if Camel Barding affects them anymore, but there's a whole bunch of other upgrades.
I
don't think...
Oh,
this
look
is
at
not
that.
pretty.
That's gonna be
finding
ugly.
Yeah, he finds a very nice little capture right here. Looks like a wall delete going to be coming through. Beastyqt wasting no time there, but a lot of villagers going down, and now villager count actually evens up. Beastyqt actually losing the lead here, but a Wallalol going to get called? What is happening right here?
Nope.
Just a bit of a misclick potentially.
Pops. Oh boy, those archers are just causing so much chaos inside the base of Beasty. Beasty's using those camel archers to great effect, by the way. The flaming arrows are really useful for taking down all those siege as well. So Beasty's push here is getting more and more dangerous because it's entering the heart of MarineLorD's food eco, but MarineLorD also has his own archers doing quite a lot of damage to Beasty's base, so you get the feel that both sides are taking quite a bit of a beating on their economy.
Yeah, it seems like one of those fights, you know, when you get 2 boxers that don't know how to block, but they know how to punch, and they just start punching each other, and they don't care about blocking at all, and they're just punching like wildfire. It's kind of like that at this point. Neither player really blocking each other. Beasty actually deleted the wall that he'd put up to stop units from coming through. Instead of building a gate, he could have just built a gate and gone through. He had like 10 villagers there. It would have taken him half a second. And instead lets the enemy through. So I'm starting to wonder, is Beasty playing for the enemy team here? What's the go with that? Look at this. Now the forces might potentially get cleaned up here. He's going to be able to split them up. Archers heading in multiple directions. You can see he's got 3 different groups now beginning to run out. And at the same time, down in the base of his enemy, MarineLorD is going to be suffering another loss as Beastyqt once again finds a couple more villagers.
Well, the archers also find the camel archers, and that's exactly the fight that MarineLorD was looking for. Those archers have to pursue those camel archers left and right. That's basically the only tool that you have right now to clean those up, and it looks like it's a trap. Camel archers will have no chance of escaping from that direction, and as you pointed out, it's like 2 boxers fighting it. It's just body blows left and right. No one is getting knocked out. Both of them are just taking some punches.
Yeah, and this is really where it comes down to just controlling the late game and controlling the narrative. So making sure that there are walls up everywhere. That it is really the most important part of this late game situation. It's stopping raids coming into your base, but at the same time executing raids on your enemy and trying to slowly but steadily work them down over time. And that's what we see both players attempting to do. MarineLorD is going to be the one that is now catching a few villagers out from Beastyqt, but Beastyqt going to be looking to hold on here as he's steadfast on that gold mine. Let's talk a little bit about late game resources because we once again enter into the 40th minute right now. This is the second game in the series to run towards that 40-minute mark. What resources are out on the map for these players to actually grab?
Well, wood is still plenty. Gold slowly running out, but the key I want to highlight is that MarineLorD is actually very close to securing all 3 sacred sites. If you look at the far right side, he's got control and walls in front of those sacred sites already, and he's very close to just making a push on the left side, grabbing that sacred site, and he could just force a move from Beast that way. So I feel like in this scenario, the way that MarineLorD's walls are looking like, you get to feel that one of the most important resources on the map will be the sacred sites.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad point. You can definitely try and play from a pocket, but as you mentioned, if there are sacred sites that are in control from your enemy, then you're on a timer, quite literally. But now we actually see Beastyqt adding in the first signs of life from the Culverin. So he's actually got 4 of them out on the field somewhere, I'm suspecting in the base, and now we see them beginning to move out their long cannons. Look at that. There is plenty of wood right there, my friends, and going to be able to move forward and look to potentially take out the rest of this siege here. Look at all of the camel archers coming out, being healed up by that keep.
That's the critical mass, and that's the thing. One Culverin will just get sniped down by the longer range Springolds, but when you have 4 of them, they just one-shot those Springolds, and you can take quite a lot of punches. It looks like you still have 2 of them left, and the Camel Archers are so tanky. They also support the infantry with the Camel support upgrade. Mangonel's trying to open fire against those archers, but that's going to fail. Mangonel gets taken down. This isn't going to be the perfect fight for Beasty, but he's going to ground down quite a lot of forces from MarineLorD here.
Yeah, you can see that there's still a few Springolds in here, but Beastyqt managing to do pretty decently. The main thing that's missing right here is Streltsy. Once the Streltsy start coming out and start clicking, that's when the trouble is really going to be coming in order for Mr. Beastyqt. I said it once again there, Mr. Beastyqt. I'm going to say it another 6 times just to make that guy extra angry. I'll let you deal with it, Lidakor. Go on.
To get back to that discussion about the resources, look at food. MarineLorD has dropped down to 94 villagers, and his food income isn't looking spectacular. And the thing is that the units that he's making are mostly food heavy, talking about horsemen, talk about archers even to a certain extent, and his population is getting concerning. It's down to 120 as opposed to 155. Those camel archers spearheading through those walls suddenly leave this entire southern part of his economy exposed, and this is the window that Beasty has. Those camel archers can quickly reach that eco and deliver a tremendous amount of punishment.
Yeah, that's exactly what we see coming through. Now, I'd like to know, down towards the south, there seems to be a gold mine. Is that gold mine still active? We'll check in after this little battle. You can see the camels doing a great job here. Going to be finding some villagers here. And yeah, there's a bit of gold on that. How much gold has he actually got there? He's got 3.4k still to gather from that. So not a bad little bit of an investment that he's got, but ideally you'd like to see trading come out from him. He's going to have a bit of a tough time getting to it, though, because we are reaching that 45th minute, and that's when it really starts to get difficult. But Streltsy now going to be coming out, the first Streltsy of the game, I think that is. There's 2 Streltsy in there, so finally going to be mixing them in, but a lot of trash compositions at this stage of the game. But yeah, ideally you'd like to see a bit more walls coming out from MarineLorD and just really try and secure that position over towards the east of the map.
Beasty lost a lot of camel archers, and as you see, his military population is no longer looking spectacular. He's down to 46. Most of those are just spearmen, some crossbows. A couple of camel archers are still there. He's adding rams on the left side, but he lost a lot of the power of his army, so to say. So his most valuable units were taken down. He's shelling a castle on the right side with a single trebuchet, but that should be defended quite easily by MarineLorD. And you could see for a brief moment that Beasty's assembling a push on the left side. You gotta wonder how much damage that can cause, because you get the feel that he's slowly running out of time. As you pointed out, the Streltsy are increasing in numbers, and MarineLorD still has like 65% of the map under his control, I would say.
Yeah, he's still got quite a fair portion of it under control, but you can now see another raid coming in over on this position. Still no outposts being added in. I wonder why there's just been no outpost drop down here from Beastyqt. He's got 3.2k wood at the moment. Now going to be... Yeah, choo-choo train indeed. It looks like the battering rams going to be entering in from the ranch. These guys have just come in hot out of the showers and now going to be attempting to take down this front castle. And you can see it looks like a couple of villagers going to be out here throwing down a couple of torches. But those elite camel archers, look how beautiful they are with their golden crowns.
They look really beautiful. And this exposes the entire food eco of MarineLorD from the north. Now, the danger that Beasty is facing is that the same thing is happening to him. Push is coming in from MarineLorD from the north. Beasty's food eco is still looking better. I feel like if Beasty can stall this push out inside his base and then make this ram push work, this could work out really well for him, but there is no protection to those rams. The camel is just detached from that army, and that means that those rams are getting taken down. I wonder if the castle actually survived that.
Yeah, we can see it's actually on fire. I don't think it's going to survive. Oh, he's got villagers healing. He's fine. He's fine. The villagers are going to be healing there. And I just noticed when we clicked on that castle, instead of it saying delete on the building, it said cellar, which I'm assuming is Italian for delete.
Yep. Indeed, huge shout out to our observer, Vodka. Indeed, he's Italian, so he's using the Italian language in his game.
That makes sense then. That makes absolutely perfect sense. But we can see now Beastyqt hitting that maximum population again. These guys just grinding out non-stop. And I really think that we are almost reaching peak Age of Empires 4, or at least mastery of the meta is happening right now. Because you are no longer seeing these games go for such a short period of time. You used to see games that would go for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, some 6-minute games I remember watching on Boulder Bay, lest we forget. But in this game, I mean, we are witnessing in this series 2 games that both potentially are going to run almost an hour long, which is absolute insanity. These guys are so close to skill, so close to an understanding of what this game is capable of, or what they're capable of, what their enemy civilization is capable of, how to counter everything. You know, it's just absolutely beautiful to watch.
Indeed it is. And the thing is that they are also understanding the need to constantly switch your unit composition. Just look at MarineLorD, he made archers, now he's switching into horsemen, we have seen some Streltsy added, Springholes. So they understand that they need to constantly adjust their unit composition based on what they see from the opponent. So it's not just like they're spamming archer after archer into each other, it really is a dynamically changing battlefield with dynamically changing unit compositions.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The Camel Archers definitely seem to be the feature piece, though, through the unit composition of Beastyqt, and he's trying to work his enemy down. But I feel like neither player is really making headway at this point. Have we got trade coming up from either player yet?
I really wonder that. Camel Archers are still working to great effect, but yeah, Beasty is struggling to make any push inside MarineLorD's base, and since MarineLorD still has the better map control, you get the feel that MarineLorD is still ahead, and I really wonder how much control MarineLorD has on this right-hand side corner, because obviously, when you trade, you want to start going corner to corner. That's the most effective trade that you can have. So
yeah.
The opponent denying that corner is going to have an impact on your trade. Now, obviously, if the opponent has no trade, you're still going to be ahead in terms of gold income, and there is the traders. I wonder how much they return. 120 maybe? What's your guess?
He'd be lucky to get that. It's 68. Jeez Louise. Yeah, it definitely starts hurting if you can't get those corners. If you could get that corner, you'd probably be looking at about 150, 160 maybe?
Yeah, I think it was 160 previous game. So that's what I was basing my guesses on. But it's not a linear increase. It's actually more like an exponential increase. So every single tile towards that corner matters more and more.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we can once again see MarineLorD just teeing up on this front position. I wouldn't be surprised to see Beastyqt look to try and get a few more trebuchets out. They're going to be a lot more effective than bombards up against this composition just because of the extra range that they've got. But now we actually see MarineLorD looking to get his own trebuchets out. But unfortunately, actually, was that a trebuchet? I think it might have been a mangonel shot that we saw instead. Now both players looking to just try and control this central pass position. But I'm curious, has MarineLorD yet begun moving? I think MarineLorD is now trading as well. So both players have realized it's 50 minutes into this game. It's time for us to invest in units other than military. We're going to start trading, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, he's just now setting up the markets, and he's going to have a corner-to-corner trade out here. So over time, that's going to be more efficient than what Beasty has, and that pushes Beasty to a timer. On the other hand, if there is one unit that's really capable of raiding trade, that's going to be the Camel Archer. Hard to clean up. Look at that repair coming in, though. As I was praising the Camel Archers, the villagers just said no.
Camel Archers, unfortunately, not too effective against siege when it's getting healed up. Those villagers doing such a great job of just repairing that. That was very funny to watch. But yeah, that's a really good point. Honestly, Camel Archers do very well against trading units just because they've got that extra speed as well. And now the Horseman going to be coming down the mountain when she comes. But Camel Archer's also going to be coming in the back of the base. We still see an archery range that is yet to be built there by MarineLorD. So 150 wood going to waste. Not that he needs to save any of it up there, but geez Louise, what a series we've already got unfolding here.
Yeah, I think that Beasty needs a castle right next to his markets, though, because that's the angle that MarineLorD is pushing towards as Beasty finds a couple of villagers, in fact, quite a lot of villagers to kill here, but he needs some sort of defense for those markets. He can't afford to let his trade get disrupted, because that's gonna be the most important part of his economy for the next 15-20 minutes, potentially, so he can't afford to let that get disrupted. He's got the stone for it. He needs a defensive castle there.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But still we see these units getting behind. How are they possibly getting into this base? Like, I'm confused how these units are always just getting behind. But look at the mass coming out from Mr. Beastyqt. I said it once again, Mr. Beastyqt, sorry. 6 Culverin coming out for him. That's a huge amount of units. Yeah, now pushing out. Beastyqt, wake up! Wake up the Culverin! Oh no, the Culverin are doing that thing where they like to go in for a little bit of a kiss on the front line, and at the same time, all the Camels are going to be looking to clean up the enemy units. The Streltsy in here as well, together with the Archers, going to be looking to get a little bit more of a kiss, it seems. But now the Spears are going to be underneath this, trying to just buffer on the front line, doing a great job. Lidakor, I think Beastyqt is pushing him out.
Yeah, he's pushing him out. He needs some heavy siege to take down those buildings with, but that was a great fight for him. He waited for the critical mass of Culverins to show up. And now the thing is that those Camel Archers can pursue this. He can just chase down all those very expensive Streltsy that MarineLorD won't be able to afford to replenish. Now you got the cavalry, though, coming in, and that's going to be a lot of expensive Culverins going down the drain here. So MarineLorD comes in with the retaliation, but I get the feel that those Camel Archers by Beasty will just be sent directly into the base of MarineLorD. Once again, look at that surround coming in. He doesn't want those Streltsy to get away.
Yeah, but keep in mind 4,000 worth of culverin over here going down the drain, and that is equivalent. Hold on, if a Streltsy costs 90 each, then it's 180 in total. So it's about the equivalent of like 24 Streltsy that just went down in culverin costs. So that was a very big investment that just got taken down. But at the same time, Keep going to be on the back line here, just looking to do a bit of defense. We see that healing Keep coming out. A little bit of a hole in the wall right there as well. Trebuchet is going to be looking to push out of Beastie's base. Beastie down to 140 population at this point in time. MarineLorD on 150 as well. The battle of attrition has well and truly begun, it seems, because these players are slowly but steadily just hitting each other with... I mean, what have they even got left to hit with at this point, Lidakor?
Not much, that's for sure. Beastie is still struggling to set that trade up in a very effective manner, and MarineLorD is being kept afloat by that gold income from the relics and sacred side. If you look at his gold income, 443 per minute, the only access to gold he has pretty much is from those relics, and that's something that's coming in so clutch for him right now, because he needs that extra bit of gold so that he can field springwalls, but finally, Beastie is pushing out. Beastie's eco is still slightly better in the long run, I believe. He's got more villagers. Well, right now the villager count is even, but he has had more villagers for quite a long time, and he managed to take down the fortification of MarineLorD on the right side. I'm fairly certain those villagers are making a run for the corner, getting those markets set up.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. But speaking of markets, I'd love to take a look down towards the south and see what those markets or what those traders are bringing in for MarineLorD. He's obviously had them set up for a bit of time now. Let's have a look and see if we've got any traders that are being brought in. The markets are there they are, but the traders are getting picked up in the trade line. 144 gold here, so more than double what he's picking up himself. But Beastyqt definitely going to be happy if he manages to take out a few of those. But now a Keep going to be coming back over on the eastern front. Attacks going down all over the map. Double Trebuchet's firing at us. Watch out, guys. That Trebuchet meant business.
And it looks like a cannon might be taken down here by the Spearman on the left side. That could be great value here for Beastie. Oh boy, the thing is that MarineLorD's trade is so much better, yet it's being raided by the Camel Archers, and that just once again pushes this to a relatively even battleground. Population, though, rising very heavily for MarineLorD. He's at 170 as compared to 140 of his counterpart.
Yeah, the first difference we've begun to see through this game. Normally these players have been neck and neck, and it's at the 56th minute into the game that finally the difference between these two is sensed. MarineLorD has managed to wall up the majority of this center, but still you see those units continuing to make their way across the map. All of the Camel Archers trying to find an opening. Is there a spot that they're going to be able to get through? We'll take a look just down to the south position of this, but we'll follow these Camels around a little bit further because I suspect he's just moving them down towards the base. And you can see that MarineLorD is once again going to be looking to wall up this position. He knows how important it is that this maintains, that the integrity of this wall is maintained. And now going to be looking to close this out. You can see he's got plenty of units here ready to intercept these forces, but they do make their way behind the walls. Where are these guys going? Oh, they're doing a loop-to-loop. Oh, just when you were in, you were actually out.
Yeah, that's also going to tell MarineLorD that there is an opening there, so that's something that he's going to have to fix as well. And now with the walls coming up for MarineLorD, you get the feel that MarineLorD is going to have a completely safe economy, whereas for Beastie, he's getting raided over and over again. I wonder if he actually set up markets in the corner already, because if he hasn't, then suddenly the gold income is going to skyrocket for MarineLorD, and Beastie is still going to be trading with those original markets, and he's not setting up new trade. That's gotta be painful. 68 gold per trip as opposed to 114.
Yeah, there's just such a difference between those two, but now it looks like MarineLorD may potentially get behind enemy lines as well, up towards that northern position. Have we got, is that an open trading line up towards that position? A bit of a siege happening in the middle here. Spears looking to do damage. Can we go up towards that northern trading post? Yeah, there it is. It is open, so he's going to be able to get...
There was a forest there that got overchopped.
That is probably what has happened, but now those traders going to be intercepted completely. All of these traders going to be going down. Very well played here by MarineLorD. It looks like Beastyqt does finally realize, but it's going to take so much APM away from him just to try and deal with that on the back line. He's going to need to re-wall that, and this is the consequence of just missing those walls. If you miss one wall like that, it can be such a difficult time for you. But now you can see on this front line, Beastyqt has managed to make his way back up to 100, or rather 200 population. He's right behind his enemy, but at the same time, I mean, where do we even go from here, Lidakor? I mean, we've just had two of the most amazing non-stop action games that have gone to the late game. Game number 3 is going to be coming up after this.
Oh, the traders, that's a disaster. We might see that game number 3 come up soon, because I feel like now Beastie's collapsing. That is exactly what he can't afford to let happen, losing all those traders on the northern side. So many traders going down, and now MarineLorD's eco is untouched. We're entering a very similar stage to what we had before in the previous game, but this time around it is MarineLorD who's amping up the pressure on the opponent's base. What are those Culverins doing, man? Oh.
They're chilling out. They're having a good little time. Unfortunately, their good time is not a good time for Beastyqt because he's going to be losing those, at least one of those Culverin. Mangonel coming out. They're getting off some decent shots on the mass here. He's actually got a pretty good mass that he's managed to build up. Same military population for both of these players. Villager count a little bit different at this point in time, but at the same time, the push continuing over this ledge. These players just fighting over this one piece of grass the entire time. And now we see the trebuchets looking to begin unfolding upon the enemy base. Beastyqt, may he make the actual very first push out of this position successfully today, potentially. It looks like he's taken out the keep. There's a sheep there. Does he look to take the sheep?
Maybe. You gotta respect every single bit of resource left on the map. But the thing is that he's got a huge mass of camel archers, and that's the only thing that's really going for him. That group of camel archers is very scary. High HP unit, very population efficient, very good damage output, debuffing the enemy cavalry. Speaking of the cavalry, that's going to be a trebuchet getting taken on the left side. He tried to open up a new front line over there. But I'm starting to get the feel that Beast is realizing that he needs to make something happen in the next few minutes because he's slowly bleeding out here with that trade.
Yeah, that is the big concern for me. Has he managed to get a market back up over on that right-hand side, that far right-hand side? Oh, a bit of a raid coming through now. He's got so many villagers here on the farm. They're stacked. Look at them, stacked about 4 farms deep over on that western flank and now under attack from multiple angles. Beastie actually going to be making a mistake that he rarely does and failing to wall one of his flanks. All it takes is 50, 60 wood to wall that entire flank in, but unfortunately he leaves it wide open. His enemy able to come underneath and do huge amounts of damage. But now we see those horsemen looking to try and take out the siege of Beastyqt. He is managing to kill it. Now going to continue pushing in towards the enemy base. 3 trebuchets, 3 mangonels, 3 culverin. I can't think of anything better than that kind of combination.
Yeah, you will need something against the archers though, because as you can see at the top of the screen, MarineLorD is massing the archers. He knows that mass archers might be able to take the camel archers, but it's gonna be tricky because it's a flood of units we're talking about, and the camel archers just take so much damage. There's the first mangonel coming up. Streltsy also in this fight. Beast is spearheading his way through the base of MarineLorD, and that's exactly his only win condition here. He needs to find a way to hit that trade so he can compensate for his own losses here.
Yeah, and there's a huge amount of units in this base right now, but you can see that the MarineLorD is moving over. The Streltsy coming slowly but steadily across the screen and looking to push this out. It looks like the Mangonel is going to be going down. He's got 1 Mangonel remaining in his arsenal, but at the same time, I don't know whether that's going to be enough considering how much infantry is coming out for MarineLorD. And MarineLorD going to be looking to push back here. The trebuchets on top of the hill going to be under siege as those horsemen do run underneath them, and at the same time, we have got a big collapse coming through. The trebuchets just looking very steadfast at the top, and they're going to be coming down the hill. That's the wrong direction, my friends. Where are you guys going? They're going for a little bit of a kiss once again, but it looks like they do finally get the memo that this is a workplace, and that is not a welcome thing to do.
And with no mangonels on the battlefield anymore for Beastie, his camel archers are being overrun by the archers. And the thing is that the archers, the cavalry, they draw away the camel archer fire, and this just allows the Streltsy to stay alive, allow that damage output, and you get the feel that Beast is being ground down on resources. Look at the resource banks out there. MarineLorD doesn't have a ton of gold, but he's floating quite a lot of wood. He's got a pretty decent food income as well. And for Beastie, his numbers aren't looking very convincing. 69 army, very nice, but probably insufficient to take this fight.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But finally, as soon as we see the Streltsy mass beginning to build, that's when the game starts to turn. The Streltsy are just so powerful. They have the ability to swing it. And it's very curious that we haven't seen the big ball of siege coming out yet from MarineLorD. Maybe he just doesn't realize it yet in the late game. If he just makes 6 mangonels and 10 Springalds and just a handful of Streltsy, a handful of men-at-arms, that he just wins against every composition. But it seems like he's going to continue to struggle on this front line here. He's losing a lot of units, and we seem to just be going nowhere here. We're just moving back and forth over this mountain range. We've been here for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's really just attritional warfare once again. Neither of these players are giving up on this. Beastie knows he's behind, but he's believing in the camels. He's a camel enjoyer, but he needs to do something about this trade, and he needs to do something about his map control, because you see he's basically chopping down straggler trees on the right side. His sustainability is very bad, whereas MarineLorD still can play this game for 50, 60 minutes if he wants to.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm starting to think that this might be like, do you remember that legendary tennis game that lasted like 17 hours? There were stories of like people who would go to hospital with a broken leg and the game was going, and then they'd come out of hospital and their leg had been repaired and the tennis game was still going. I feel like it's going to be the same between Beastyqt and MarineLorD. There's going to be people who, they have a wife or they get married during the series. Like, we're going to be in game 4 and you're going to have children being born. Like, this series is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, this is something where the only person that's happy about this, I feel, is gonna be Vortex, because Vortex is sitting there waiting for his opponent in the winner's bracket finals, and that's the advantage that he's getting. People have been asking, what's the advantage of winning the winner's bracket in a double elimination tournament? This. The fact that you can avoid a potentially free 4-hour-long set before the grand finals.
Yeah, exactly. And imagine how exhausting this would be right now. I mean, for Beastyqt, maybe not. Beastyqt loves this kind of stuff. He's probably sitting over there. He's got his feet up. He's probably got a Pepsi out right now. He's just having a great time. But now we begin to see the battle unfolding in the middle of the map. The Camel Archers on the back line. Look at them trying to protect that siege. They're doing a great job. And now it's looking like the push is going to actually come out. Beastyqt actually doing a great job of just managing this economy and this military force just so well.
Yeah, that's the thing. Camel Archers are powerful and super population efficient. You see, Beast is at 200 population, but the value that he's getting out of every single bit of his population is immensely valuable, and he's still somehow staying alive. I really wonder if he actually went up to Imperial with a trade wing, something that we haven't seen yet. I don't think that he did. I think he went with the military wing, but one thing that we shouldn't underestimate is that the Abbasids have the chance to go for a trade wing, and that would expand their trade income. It looks like it doesn't have that right now, but look at this resource bank. It's looking better and better, and MarineLorD, completely out of food, dropping in military population. Could we see Beasty grinding this out?
Oh my god, it could potentially be happening. We've called it many a times in this game. What is the upgrade that he's getting right now? The 1.5 range? What is the high trade house? Can you see that? MarineLorD over on the left-hand side of our screen. There's an upgrade that's coming through, a siege upgrade.
I think
why is that coming through?
That's either the architecture, that's the university upgrade. That's not the range upgrade, that's for sure. I think that's the trebuchet upgrade from the university.
Okay, okay. I was going to say, wow, at this point, okay, there it is. Court Architects coming in. Okay, so he's looking to increase the health of his buildings here, and probably wisely so, I would say. He's definitely struggling to keep his head above water, and now it looks like finally Beastyqt has pushed over the hill, and it seems that the question of whether the best late-game player versus the best late-game Civ is about to be settled, because Beastyqt is doing incredible work here. He's managing to make his way through that little hole in the forest that he found. Still hasn't been sealed up yet from MarineLorD. The trade just booming out here as well. He's sitting on 125 economic population, and now going to be finding out some of those villagers in here on the farms.
I really wonder what MarineLorD's trade count is right now, because it seems like he has a way better trade technically, but he's just being crowned down nice and easy. Obviously, the main cost for the Camel Army is going to be your food and wood, so you don't really rely on your gold income that much. But then again, you're running low on wood here for Beasty. If you look at his wood income per minute, is dropping, and the map is just running dry on wood, and that could be a massive bottleneck for Beasty, because MarineLorD is back to 200 population. He's gonna be like, oh yeah, shrug, bring on the next wave.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's just, it is wild. It is literally base defense at this point in time. So it's crazy. And now Beastyqt moving forward with a lot of villagers here, potentially going for a keep drop. He's got a market back at home. He's got actually about 6 markets at home. He's only got 400 stone in the bank. It's just going to be an outpost drop. The old classic 2017 or 27 villagers on an outpost. Mangonel.
Oh, the Mangonels.
Mangonels. Oh my, he lost 24 villagers in the blink of an eye. That was it. He just took them all out. He said, you know what? I don't even want them anymore. You have them, mate. And now going to be looking to try and take control of the game. I don't think he expected that to happen. That was interesting.
No, I didn't expect that, and that's the reason why I don't see very commonly Imperial Age tower rushes, just free Mangonels opening up, and in just a blink of an eye, Beasty lost so much, and you see his wood income is still terrible. We might have seen the first sign of Beasty getting repelled completely, and then MarineLorD grinding this out, because obviously it wasn't really about those villagers, it was about the fact that Beasty's running out of resources, plain and simple. He's got no more wood income. And his gold income is not as good as MarineLorD's one. I think now MarineLorD is going to start kicking in with that eco, and the chances are now super limited for Beasty, I feel.
Yeah, so what does Beasty do in this position? So he's got essentially infinite gold, infinite food. What unit does he make in this situation? Does he go for a knight composition, a hand cannon composition? Does he go for meta arms? Because he's running out of wood, and Camel Archers require wood. He can't make spearmen in this position, can't make normal archers. All the units that he wants to, he can't really make. He's got to look towards these heavier units that are just going to get countered by the Streltsy.
I think his only shot would be a landmark snipe now, or at least lancers and go raid the opponent's economy. But it all starts with setting up his trade nice and going corner to corner, because there is no way that he can win a game where his opponent is going to have twice the resource income that he has. And that's the direction that we're heading right now.
Yeah, this is absolutely wild. We're in the 69th minute of this game, and I tell you what, the action has never been this intense.
Crazy long set here, man. And this is going to have a massive impact on game number 3 as well. It's going to be a lot of attrition for these players, and it's going to have a great impact on the grand finals. Looks like now MarineLorD is once again sending in the cavalry. Looks like the choice of unit is going to be hand cannoneers for Beastyqt. As you would expect, he has, as you said, infinite gold and food. What are you going to make with that? Lancers, hand cannoneers, those are your best options, really.
Yeah, I guess as the Abbasid, you can always make camel riders as an option, but they're a bit of a meme unit at the moment. So yeah, I wouldn't expect that. But now battering ram also coming out for MarineLorD. Beastyqt down by 33 population at the moment, still away from max pop, and ideally you'd love to have that sitting up at max pop. But you can just see the defensive coming in from from MarineLorD. Just incredible stuff from him. This is absolutely beautiful to see. I can't believe the pleasure of casting this game right now, or casting this series in particular. These guys are so evenly matched. Now a raid going to be coming through on the back line. Beastyqt going to be struggling to keep this one above water, but he manages to do so. Spear's going to be coming back together with men-at-arms. At the same time, the hand cannoneers are the unit choice that he's gone for here. Now keep in mind, hand cannoneers a little bit more expensive than their Streltsy counterparts. And also, I don't think they get all the extra nice little bonuses that the Streltsy do.
Nope, not at all. If Beastyqt wants to play with this unit composition, he needs to start voling himself up, because he can't afford that high mobility cavalry running into his base, but that's to a certain extent applicable as well to MarineLorD. He can't afford camel archers to run into his base, and once again, the win condition for either of these players really is just to finish off the opponent's economy. Just have one good raid that knocks out like 50 farmers or 20 trade cards. That could give you enough momentum to finish this game. And that window is still to a certain extent open for Beastyqt. His wood count is disturbingly low, but I think a couple of camel archers actually made their way into MarineLorD's base.
I'm just in awe at this point in time. This is absolutely... This is insanity. I can't believe we are witnessing this. We are now 70 minutes through this game. It looks like, are they camel riders or are they camel archers? Those ones right there. They were golden.
Archers.
I couldn't see the bows though, so I was like, well, these guys typically they're running around with big speakers on their shoulders. But it seems, oh no, they are the camel archers. It seems.
Sad.
All right. Yes, sad. I'm a man who can dream. One day we will see camel riders potentially. But until that day, it looks like we're just going to have to deal with it. But now Villagers got to be moving forward here, looking to actually snipe away some of this siege. He's got counter Villagers here, ready to repair just in time. Beautiful timing, and now all of the men-at-arms are going to be coming out. He says, no, mate, you head back to your base. Those bombards are mine.
And those bombards are immensely valuable. We're running low on wood for both players. Look at their resource income per minute. No wood available for MarineLorD or Beastyqt in the long run either, so every single bombard that gets sniped, every single springboard that gets sniped is just insanely high in value. So from this point on, you have to commit, like, if you have to sacrifice 20 villagers to repair one bombard, you have to make that decision, because you can replace villagers, you will struggle a lot to replace bombards.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Oh my god, now another raid going to be heading back towards the base of Beastyqt. He's obviously got plenty of traders back here, but keep in mind these traders aren't they're not the most efficient traders, so you know what, I'm sure he doesn't really mind that they're being killed. But speaking of traders, look at this down towards the south. MarineLorD just really struggling to close out this game. He's looking for anything that he can find to potentially close it down, and now we see bombards coming out from Beastyqt looking to try and take down this castle on the south side of the map.
Cavalry is now charging on those bombards. Look at that horde of spearmen out there, supported by, what is that, 30? Yeah, it's 30 hand cannoneers out there as well. That's a ton of firepower, and if Nightflow choke point is something that Beastyqt can use for defense, he's still sort of bleeding from this hole here, because you got that cavalry charging in over and over again through that overchop. He's dancing around with his bombards, trying to find a position to take that castle down with, and now MarineLorD is pushing up with his own keep. Remember, he's got the golden gate, so he can still facilitate very effective trades with that building to buy himself some stone, buy himself some wood, and that could be a difference maker here.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Has Beastyqt reached... Beastyqt hasn't reached Golden Age Tier 3 yet. He is still sitting in Golden Age Tier 2 at this point in time. You would expect an hour into this game, 73 minutes into this game, that one of the best players in the world would be at Tier 3 in their Golden Age. Yet still, Beastyqt is not in Tier 3 in the Golden Age. And you might be wondering, Drongo, what does Tier 3 in the Golden Age give you? Well, I wish I knew. It's either production speed or research speed. But
it's production speed. That's the jackpot. I wonder if he actually had that. He just lost the connection, because you have to have your buildings connected in that scenario. And we have just seen so much destruction. See, he's 2 buildings short only, so maybe he just lost a couple of houses or something that was supposed to give him that tier 3. But that's also, once again, a nail in that coffin, because he is not maximizing all the bonuses available, whereas for MarineLorD, he now has a completely untouched economy, a fully operational trade corner to corner, and you get the feel that Beasty is just suffering from a very, very, very slow and painful death here.
Yeah, it seems like he's managed to kind of work his way over on that eastern front. He pushed himself back over there, and now the majority of the fighting has moved over towards this western front. We see the bombards actually teeing off towards the mangonels, take them all out. There's actually nothing here to stop the Springles or to stop the hand cannoneers on the back line. You can see the Springles firing off towards those bombards. Bombard managing to actually survive it, and now Beastyqt actually pushing through. He might be coming for the kill here. A lot of units now coming out of Fortress on the hill, going to be firing down upon the units below it. At the same time, Knights going to be running in. Keep in mind, these Knights are elite, so they've got their extra upgrades coming through, and men-at-arms making their way down, sieging all of those Springles. So many units coming out, and now we see a Culverin coming out as well for Mr. Beastyqt. And I said it once again there, Lidakor, Mr. Beastyqt, but it looks like MarineLorD is holding. He has managed to hold this position.
The men-at-arms provided a perfect meat shield in front of those hand cannoneers, and the hand cannoneers that just did a tremendous job taking down all that heavy cavalry. We're talking about super heavy cavalry here. It is the Boyar's Fortitude upgrade in as well for the Rus, so those knights are super high tier. But as you pointed out, once the meat shield disappeared, it was just insufficient, and now you get those fragile hand cannoneers on the front line. Bit of a counterattack coming in on the right side if I saw it correctly, so once again, the stalemate remains, and both of these players are trying to break that stalemate, poking and probing left and right, but the defense, the reactions are spectacular from both players.
Yeah, doing such a great job, and we can see now it looks like a bit of a raid begins to move down on this central part here where he's actually looking to try and take control of the sacred sites. Is it just me, or is that sacred site over to the east side of the map not taken by MarineLorD? There's a sacred site that appears white.
Yeah, it's not taken. It was never taken.
What is he doing? This is 100 gold a minute for a 75-minute game. So I'm just going to do some quick math here, but that's 7,500 gold that he's missed out on. Obviously, he wouldn't have captured it at the beginning of the game, but still, I mean, it's a huge amount of gold he's absolutely thrown away. Wow.
Beasty lost another bombard on the north, and that is getting increasingly painful. He's sitting at 9 wood right now, and that's where that Golden League comes in for MarineLorD. Because MarineLorD can always buy himself some more wood, get one more bombard on the battlefield. Streltsy versus hand cannoneers is a battle that the Streltsy will love. It is a scenario where they can just deploy, remain stationary, and then unleash hell. And once again, you're just seeing Beastyqt getting pushed back, his population slowly collapsing. He's floating a ton of food and gold. So you wonder if it's a lack of production or just him not really queuing up units. He seems to be... Yeah, he only has 4 hand cannoneers in the queue. What's happening here? Whereas for MarineLorD, now he's unleashing the Knights. This might be the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Beastyqt right now. I'd love to take a look at his production. We can see there he's got 27 production buildings at the moment. Yeah, interestingly, now going to be adding in some spears himself. Actually, no, that was 27 for his opponent. Beastyqt only sitting on 17 at this point in time. So it almost seems like a distinct lack of production buildings, it seems.
Yeah, and remember, that's what the Golden Age Tier 3 gives you as well, extra production speed. So you would also benefit a lot from that in this scenario. Slowly but surely, once again, MarineLorD is coming in, and now the right side. No stone walls for Beasty means that those Knights can come in, and if you just snipe those markets, it's going to cause you a world of pain if you're Beasty, because all those traders will just be like, okay, where do I go now? But instead, MarineLorD just decides to go for the kill. He goes for the traders, and that's exactly the heart where you want to strike at. I feel like Beasty is going to tap out in a matter of minutes.
Yeah, this is not looking good for Beastyqt. You know, it was only 1 minute into this game that we originally called good game, go next. You know, we are now 77 minutes through this game. I don't know, Lidakor. I kind of feel like maybe I shouldn't say it's good game just yet. Well, you know what? We'll just leave it for now. We'll leave it for now. We'll reassess in another hour or two as to whether we'd like to make a decision about whether a good game should be called or not.
Well, this is definitely a good game. The question is who is going to win, right? Because while this has been so far one of the most spectacular games that we have seen in this tournament, the longest game of the tournament, and we could potentially still be like 50 minutes away from the ending, because MarineLorD is slowly grinding down Beasty, but Beasty is not giving up, and we've talked about this multiple times. Beasty loves these late game scenarios. He's only going to tap out if he knows there are no more options left for him.
Yeah, and we saw him deleting a whole bunch of buildings. I think finally MarineLorD has realized that sacred site has been uncaptured this whole time. He's still got a relic there that he hasn't actually put back inside his monastery as well. There's a relic that just sits outside of his base. You can see it on the mini-map right now. So not on the monastery, but back over in the main base, the Abbey of the Trinity. Just hanging out, that little relic. Look at it, just doing its own thing.
Yeah, I think he wanted to convert a couple of camel archers with that like an hour ago, but who remembers that defensive castle now on the way for Beasty? He knows he needs to keep those traders alive. The problem is that no matter how much he commits to protect those traders, his opponent has a much more efficient trade, so just keeping those alive is going to be insufficient, because their efficiency is way smaller than that of the opponents. Now, one thing that he could actually do is get the trade wing as well, which is something that you can do, and then get the upgrades to compensate for his lower distance trade. He's going to clean up those Lancers once again, but his eco is dropping quite heavily. 80 eco only left for him. He can replace that with army for the time being, though.
Yeah, he's only sitting on 190 population, so he's going to have to make another house if he wants to get up to that 200. I'd love to take a look at his House of Wisdom, because one of the things people don't realize is that you can actually go full post Imperial with the House of Wisdom. You can get the 4th wing. You can actually research it, and he has researched it.
Has it.
There it is. He's researched absolutely everything in that golden, or in that House of Wisdom, except for one technology. So he has actually gone for the full trade wing. We are seeing it here. This is the first time I've ever seen somebody take all 4 of the wings of the House of Wisdom. But
it's a tremendous investment. It's a huge investment. You basically have to make Imperial Age once more. It's the same cost as Imperial Age. But when you have infinite food and gold, and you need that extra efficiency, you're going to commit it. He's going to lose the keep though on the north, and I get the feel that MarineLorD is getting dangerously close to that trade, and more importantly, food eco. You can have all the gold in the world if your food eco is going to collapse, and we're seeing that happening in this very moment.
Yeah, a lot of production now coming through for these players as well. At the same time, these Knights looking to get in on the backline, doing a pretty decent job. Springwood's teeing off bombards here. It's looking good right now for MarineLorD, but don't count Beastyqt out just yet, ladies and gentlemen. If we counted him out earlier, we surely wouldn't count him out now, that's for sure, because he is managing to make his way back towards this central position. You can see all the units he's got out here, able to create such a great concave here, and surrounds his enemy, doing a really decent job. Going to be able to find the siege here as well. This is expensive siege, and you can see they're moving so slowly. Has grouped them together. You got to stop grouping them together. But look at this bug. It's a terrifying bug. You can see his siege moving like it's... Was that a boar being taken in the middle? I swear I just saw a boar being taken. Does that boar still live?
Yeah,
oh my God.
It's still alive.
Look at that.
It's left side of the screen.
I can see the screen right now. Look at it. The boar still lives. These guys have been fighting. This is an 81-minute battle over a boar right now, Lidakor.
I mean, he doesn't really live, because that's just a carcass, but for the last couple of centuries, that carcass has been rotting there. No food decay in Age of Empires 4 means that carcass is still out there, 1700 food. It's the war of the boar, if I may say so.
The war of the boar. The Boar War. I like that. That's got a good ring to it. Now, interestingly, Beastyqt, despite being the master of the late game, opts to just put in 1 mil with 47 farms around it. Have a look at that 1 mil. It is single-handedly just responsible for the food delivery of all of Eastern Europe and parts of Southeast Asia, it seems. Like, there was just... Look at the amount of food that he's bringing in from that. It's just wild that he would think that that would be a sufficient amount of mills for that many farms.
I mean, at least the farmers don't get confused where to bring the food in, although some of those farms are now being burnt down. Is that a defensive? No, that's a castle from MarineLorD coming in. He can once again buy the stone for himself. He's slowly crawling up, and he decapped the sacred site on the left. This is the time where he can secure the 3rd sacred site, and not only just continue pushing Beasty, but also put him on a timer with the sacred site countdown.
Lidakor, I can't believe this game is going this long. He's finally pushing up towards this position. There doesn't seem to be anything going wrong in the base of MarineLorD at this point in time. He's got plenty of food income at the moment. He's got lots of gold stacked away in the bank. His trade is uninterrupted. He has no reason to lose this. What is Beastyqt going to pull out of his hat at this point in time to try and find it? We see a whole bunch of knights coming through. The Streltsy, they're putting their shields down. They're getting out to attack. You can see the knight's going to be doing a little bit of blocking. Now the mangonel shot lands on top of those hand cannoneers. A bit of a split coming through for Beastyqt. At the same time, he begins to push forward and tries to take out those mangonels. Does a great job of it. All of them get cleaned up. There's no siege here, but it looks like Beastyqt might be losing out all of his military here. If he loses this could be a good game. MarineLorD continues to push in towards the base of his enemy. MarineLorD down to 155 population. Beastyqt down to 115. 88 villagers, only 23. Sacred Site victory is also approaching. We got 10 minutes to go until that bad boy. A single culverin comes out as a peace offering, but it looks like MarineLorD doesn't want it.
He doesn't want it, and that's the thing. Now there is nothing left here for Beastyqt. He's at 40 military, and he taps out! He taps out in one of the most spectacular games of the entire tournament. Holy potatoes, was that 90 minutes of a game?
Whew, Lidakor, I tell you what, after that, I'm going to need a Red Bull. I'll be honest, I probably had like 3 Red Bulls during that entire thing. What an absolute game coming out there from MarineLorD. That's going to tie up the series 1-1 right now, which means that we are going to be heading into a game number 3, and there's going to be a guaranteed game number 4. Now, I don't know exactly how much time we had allocated for this set. I suspect it'd be like 90 minutes, maybe 100 minutes. But what they didn't realize is that that game actually went for 90 minutes. That went insanely long.
It went insanely long, and as you pointed out, there is gonna be some more games coming up after this one. Let's look at the stats here for a brief one, because I'm curious. I'm curious at the overall resource incomes, probably even the kill death ratios. What's your prediction? Like, how much gold do you think MarineLorD has had?
MarineLorD gold, I'm gonna go with 47,000.
83, look at that, 83 versus 75. 100,000 plus food income for both players, 1,300 plus kills for both. So evenly matched, spectacular game out here.